Newsmax, journalistic integrity personified, had a panel that had an unbelievable response to the use of Allah instead of God in the Pledge of Allegiance by a student. I want us to take a look at that clip.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under Allah, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all.
My jaw dropped.
Yeah, mine with yours.
That is that's an absolute disgrace. You're doing a pledge on behalf of a group of people. You're supposed to be doing it on their behalf. That's ridiculous.
It kind of makes you wonder if this is where, President Biden has just made it so easy for people to just do whatever they want and say the things that they want, irrespective of the laws and the rules. We are a Judeo-Christian nation, and our Pledge of Allegiance says one nation under God.
It's un-American, it's unpatriotic, and it's quite frankly upsetting. I served my country as a civilian in combat. I deployed to Baghdad 14 times to a combat zone, and so I saw firsthand the sacrifice and the selflessness of the men and women who wear our uniform. And we shouldn't be surprised at this because remember, it was Joe Biden, the first president to remove God from the National Day of Prayer proclamation. So my question to President Biden and Vice President Harris is, if we can't pray to God, who do we pray to? Bernie Sanders or AOC?
That's a good point.
Now, I believe in diversity. I think the people in the school system do, but that's not the Pledge of Allegiance.
There's so much to work with here, Cenk and Lance. I'm gonna say, but Lance, what do you think? What is your reaction to that?
Well, first thing I gotta ask is, what do they think Allah means? Genuinely, what do they think the literal translation of it is? I'm so confused.
You said think, Lance. You said think. Yeah. That's the problem, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, you're right. There's a ton to unpack here. Obviously, like I'm sure everyone knows, the literal translation of Allah is God. So it's just kind of ridiculous that they would go along this. But like the thing that makes me wonder is it just that it's not their God? Is that the problem here? Because I know, like, if you see like the depiction of Jesus in other cultures, right? It's often like there's a Korean Jesus and there's a black Jesus, right? People like to, obviously, I'd say, associate themselves with their deities or whatever you want to say. So is the idea of like, this is not the Judeo-Christian God I was born with and died for my country for? Or I mean, it's kind of funny you said that too, that he go overseas and kill a bunch of poor people, and that's what gives him the right to say which God is right. I don't know. There's a lot going on here.
I love this story because it's a perfect toxic stew of ignorance of the right wing. So first of all, Lance is of course right. Allah just means Arabic. It just means God in Arabic. So she could have put in the French word for God, the German word for God, and they would be like, oh, I guess now that there is no God. No, there is. That it literally means God. Okay, so no. But it's Arabic and we hate the Arabs. I mean, but it's the reference to Islam and we despise Muslims. I mean, look, they're just openly bigoted. 100, you saw with your eyes, 100% openly bigoted. And so she says, this is a Judeo-Christian country. No, it's not. It specifically says in our constitution that we shall not establish a religion, and there shall be no religious test for office. The American Constitution is one of the most secular and clearly secular constitutions in the whole world. And so they are lying to you. And the great irony is when they say it's un-American, no. And progressives who just do defense drive me crazy. No, these folks that you just saw on Newsmax, every one of them is un-American. They're the ones who are un-American. They hate our Constitution. The Constitution says we shall not establish a religion. The founding fathers very clearly said it applies to, they use the word Mohammedan back then. It applies to the Mohammedans just as much as it does to Christians and Jews. They didn't say it was Judeo-Christian, and they very specifically said, yes, this applies to Muslims. Everybody in America is American, not based on religion, but based on citizenship. So they're absolutely liars. They hate this country. They want to live in a theocracy. And then did you catch the middle of that where she said, first of all, of course it's Biden's fault. It used to be thanks Obama. Now it's thanks Biden for everything. But what was Biden's fault? She said, now under Biden, I guess they get to say whatever they want. Yeah, that's also in the Constitution. It's called freedom of speech, and you guys pretend to be in favor of it. In fact, the whole convention in 2020, the Republican convention, was like, freedom of speech, they're trying to do cancel culture. And then they see her, she said an Arabic word, cancel her. Now under Biden, I guess anybody's allowed to say anything. What is this, a free country? It used to be.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to quickly say, also make no mistake, like Tucker Carlson's really good at this. The idea of using Judeo-Christian and Western values is usually a dog whistle for things like white supremacy, right? Like Tucker Carlson has done a masterclass in being able to talk and go off about these kind of things and saying this is why Western culture is better than other cultures. But you all know what he's saying, right? Behind the scenes.
Yeah, Lance, real quick on that. I talked to a rabbi a couple of years back, and he's like, I don't remember all this Judeo-Christian talk when I was growing up. Okay, that's a very recent addition. There wasn't like for hundreds of years in this country, it wasn't like, oh, our brothers the Jews. We're such a Judeo-Christian country. No, it was just Christian, right? Now all of a sudden they expanded a little bit and pretending that they like the Jews, and then they turn around and go, Soros did it. Soros is the puppet master, old anti-Semitic tropes, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
No problem. No. So the panel went a little bit further, and I mean, I know what we saw was already bad, but this next part, they really dig into how much this student needs to be punished and taught a lesson. Let's take a look at.
Part of it is because of people like President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, and the theory out there that the Constitution is a living document, and all of this absolute buffoonery.
So yeah, they get some notoriety, they get some fame, but I say why not strip them of their diplomas, make them learn a hard lesson that you can't go off script.
They're not being held accountable. So as Amanda said, okay, you graduated, whatever. So they think, oh, can you do this in the workplace? If you have to do a presentation and your boss approves it, you're just going to decide to do something different. I mean, where
you pay a price.
Right, you should pay a price.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There needs to be consequences for this. And I suggest that this young student perhaps serve a year serving in the military. And I hope that this young student does get in trouble for this, because we really need to set this record straight that this is not tolerable, not here in the United States.
Nobody steals valor more than conservatives. Isn't that guy? Didn't he say he was a civilian observer? I don't know. Maybe I missed it, but Cenk, they and Lance, they really are sinking their teeth into this because it really just helps their narrative. They are masters of making people afraid that something strange is going to come and replace their God and their country. But obviously, it's not a big deal. But if they could possibly make it one, they will definitely try.
Yeah, it sounds like cancel culture. It sounds exactly that's what they were trying to ask for, right? They wanted the person to be canceled. Also, kind of rich that the solution to this is conscription. He's like, I think this person should be forced to go into the military and serve and go kill poor people overseas. That'll teach them.
Yeah, no, they literally say she should be stripped. There should be consequences. How dare she go off script? These are people pretending to be in favor of free speech. I've never seen a more thorough advocacy for cancel culture than that segment that you guys just watched. And all because she said God in Arabic instead of English. Okay, so Newsmax is openly bigoted. They bring on bigoted hosts and commentators to serve their bigoted audience because they know our audience are bigots. They're filled with hate. And so let's give them more hate. And that's exactly what that was. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.